It's kind of mind-blowing when you actually stop and think about it, isn't it?
It really is.
Just a little while ago, this whole idea of machines thinking, well, it felt like pure sci-fi.
Absolutely. Straight out of a movie.
And now here we are, we're asking these AIs to do, well, everything. Drafting marketing copy, figuring out complex market stuff, even, like, planning weddings.
It's an incredible range. These artificial minds, as you said, are tackling tasks that are just, yeah, pretty amazing.
It's happening so fast.
It is. And because it's moving so quickly, understanding the specific differences between these AI models becomes really important.
Right. It's not just one big thing called AI.
Exactly. There are different designs, different ways they're built, and that leads to, very different results.
Which is exactly what we want to get into today. We've gathered some really interesting stuff, and we're basically putting 4 of the big players, ChatGPT, DeepSeek, Gemini, and Grok, well, under the microscope.
Sort of a face-off.
Yeah, kind of. A comparative analysis, really digging into what makes each one tick, what they're good at, and maybe where they fall short.
And the goal here isn't just to talk about the buzzwords. It's to really pinpoint what sets them apart.
Right. We're looking at how they talk, their language skills.
How accurate they are, which is crucial.
Their creative side, if they have one.
Yeah, what kind of personality comes through or doesn't.
And even the practical stuff, like, are they fast, easy to use, that kind of thing.
Because we know you listening might be coming at this from different places.
Exactly. Some of you are probably deep in this tech already, others maybe just curious.
So we want to paint a clear picture, help you figure out which tool, might actually work best for what you need.
Okay, sounds good. Let's dive in then. Round 1, language fluency and how they, well, handle a conversation.
This is a fascinating starting point, actually, because they approach just basic communication so differently.
Like ChatGPT. A lot of people have used that one.
Right. And it's known for being incredibly smooth, isn't it? Creating these really natural-sounding conversations.
Yeah. The balance it strikes.
Yeah.
The tone, the structure, how it seems to get the context. It's pretty remarkable.
That example we found, writing a breakup letter in Shakespearean verse.
Huh. Yeah, that was something.
It really shows off its linguistic flexibility. Under the hood, it's using that transformer network architecture.
Okay.
Which is just really good at understanding and generating human-like text. It looks at how words relate in a sentence, so it holds on to the context really well.
It really does create that conversational gravity someone mentioned. That's a great phrase for it.
It is. You sort of get pulled into the chat.
Yeah, it just flows. But then you've got DeepSeek, which is, well, completely different.
Totally different vibe. Surgical and precise were the words used.
And that nails it, I think. It's not trying to be your friend.
No warmth, no fluff. It's just about getting you the answer efficiently.
So if you just want the facts, straight up.
DeepSeek seems like a really strong choice then. It looks like its training was heavy on things like technical documents, maybe code.
Ah, okay. That makes sense for that style.
Yeah, hence the directness. Now, Gemini seems to be aiming for something in between.
The comparison to a highly trained Google employee trying to be chill.
Yeah, that felt pretty spot on. It's clearly smart, capable.
Oh, definitely. You can sense the power there.
But sometimes it feels like it's trying a bit too hard to sound, relatable.
Leading to that textbook with anxiety feeling.
Exactly. It's intelligent, but maybe a little stiff sometimes.
Yeah, a bit forced, maybe.
Yeah.
Okay, and then there's Grok.
Grok.
Yeah.
Operating on a different level entirely.
The AI version of Rick from Rick and Morty.
Hilarious, but also surprisingly accurate.
It is. It's this weird mix of, like, chaos, sarcasm, but then, bam, something genuinely insightful.
Yeah, it really leans into a specific persona. It's unfiltered. It uses humor, which can be great.
A breath of fresh air sometimes.
Definitely. But also, by definition, less predictable.
Right. So pulling this together for you listening, if you want that really nuanced, engaging chat.
ChatGPT seems like the go-to. It has that sort of soul, almost.
Yeah. But if you just need direct answers, clear structure.
DeepSeek. Straightforward, no messing around.
And in Grok.
Well, if you want something unconventional, maybe funny, potentially brilliant but weird, Grok's your wild card.
Okay, interesting first round. Let's move to round 2 then. Accuracy, updates, and research power. This feels critical.
Absolutely. This is where trust comes in, right? How much can we rely on what these things tell us?
And Gemini seems to have a built-in edge here. because of Google.
It does, yeah. Its integration with the whole Google ecosystem is a big deal. Access to the knowledge graph.
Which is basically Google's huge brain effects.
Pretty much. That plus YouTube plus search.
Okay.
It means Gemini can potentially pull in super current info, like breaking news.
And cite it with links.
Often, yes. Providing links, explanations, which sounds amazing.
But there's always a but, isn't there?
There is. The sources immediately flag the hallucination risk.
Ah. So just because it can access all that info doesn't mean it gets it right.
Precisely.
Yeah.
It might confidently state something that's just wrong,
Yeah.
invented.
That's a bit scary, especially with real-time info. You really have to double-check it then.
Absolutely crucial. Now, ChatGPT, on the other hand, is described as more grounded.
Meaning?
It seems less likely to just make stuff up when it doesn't know. It might say, I don't know, or hedge its bets more.
Which is good for reliability in a way.
Definitely. But
Okay.
you have to remember its knowledge cutoff date. Unless you've got the paid GPT-4 Turbo with browsing, it might not know about very recent events.
Right, okay. And Grok, it's tied to X, right? Formerly Twitter.
Yep. And the comparison there was, well, evocative.
Yeah.
An unreliable, sarcastic Wikipedia.
Ouch. So it's got access to that real-time flood of information from X.
But the quality, the accuracy, it's all over the place, isn't it?
Yeah, that's the nature of that platform.
It's like trying to drink from a fire hose, like the source said. Filtering signal from noise, there is a massive challenge for an AI.
Okay, so Grok's accuracy seems questionable at best. What about DeepSeek?
DeepSeek's data is described as stable, less prone to making things up, which is good.
Stable sounds reassuring.
It is, but the trade-off seems to be less detail. It doesn't do the showboating that maybe Gemini or even ChatGPT might.
Right, it just gives you the core info.
Exactly. So for you, the listener, what's the takeaway here? Gemini can be powerful for current info.
If you verify everything rigorously.
Absolutely. DeepSeek offers more stability, maybe less detail.
Seems safer if accuracy is paramount.
Potentially. And ChatGPT offers those layered, often well-explained answers, but be mindful of that potential knowledge cutoff.
And Grok?
Approach with extreme caution regarding accuracy.
Yeah, maybe use it for entertainment, not for critical research.
That sounds like a sensible approach. Okay, ready to pivot to creativity. Round 3.
Oh yeah, this is fun. Poetry, stories, generating ideas. How do they stack up?
And this is where ChatGPT really seems to come into its own, based on the sources.
That bedtime story example was wild. A neurodivergent cyborg who bakes sentient bread.
I mean, that's pretty imaginative, right? The source mentioned its ability with metaphor, character development.
Yeah, it wasn't just stringing words together, it felt like actual storytelling. Makes you wonder about AI's role in creative fields.
It really does push those boundaries.
Yeah.
Now, Gemini, while it can be creative, apparently tends to over-explain itself.
How so?
It's like it feels the need to demonstrate how it arrived at the creative output, showing its work too much.
Ah, so it sort of breaks the creative spell by getting too analytical about it.
That seems to be the feeling. It's trying too hard to prove its intelligence, maybe, instead of just letting the creativity flow.
Interesting. And DeepSeek, I'm not expecting much creativity here based on round 1.
You'd be right. It's good at structuring ideas, apparently. Logical outlines, that sort of thing.
But the imaginative leap.
Seems to be missing. The comparison was to a Stoic philosopher.
Huh. Okay, very analytical, not very whimsical.
Exactly. Structure over spark. And then, predictably, there's Grok.
Back to the chaos.
Pretty much.
Wow.
The anecdote about the limerick about capitalism and cat memes.
Yeah, that sums it up, doesn't it? Wild, sometimes maybe deranged, as the source put it.
It's unpredictable.
Yeah.
It might give you nonsense, or it might give you something genuinely, startlingly original.
That chaotic genius idea again.
Exactly. So, for listeners wanting a creative partner,
ChatGPT looks like the strongest bet for nuanced, well-developed creative work.
agreed. But if you want to roll the dice, get something totally unexpected, maybe even brilliant in a weird way.
Grok might be worth playing with. Could be inspiring, could be just bizarre.
Precisely. It's a gamble. Okay, that naturally leads us to round 4. Personalities and ethics.
Right, how these things sort of feel to interact with. And the guardrails they have?
ChatGPT's personality is very clear, isn't it? It's designed to be the polite, helpful assistant.
Almost too polite sometimes. The source said, almost too careful.
Yeah, like it's walking on eggshells to avoid causing any offense whatsoever.
Which is probably intentional, right? For safety and broad appeal.
Almost certainly a deliberate design choice. Keep it safe, keep it uncontroversial. Gemini, though, seems a bit more conflicted.
Yeah, the personality was described as inconsistent. Sometimes warm, sometimes kind of sterile.
It suggests an internal tension, maybe, between wanting to be helpful and conversational, but also sticking to strict corporate rules.
That makes a lot of sense given it's a Google product. There are probably layers of guidelines it has to follow.
You'd imagine so. And then the total opposite end of the spectrum, Grok.
Unfiltered, unapologetic. That seems to be its brand.
Absolutely. Willing to joke, critique, be sarcastic.
Which some people might find refreshing, more authentic.
Potentially, yes. That lack of a filter can feel more real. But
Big but. That unpredictability again. It could easily say something offensive or inappropriate, couldn't it?
very easily. Depends heavily on your tolerance for that and what you're using it for.
Yeah,
If it's for, like, public-facing content, probably risky.
good point. And finally, DeepSeek's personality.
Minimalist. Almost non-existent, it sounds like.
It's just the facts, man.
Pretty much. Purely cast-focused. No humor, no emotion, just processing the request.
So for you, the listener, it really depends what you want from the interaction itself.
Exactly. If you crave that raw, unfiltered, maybe sarcastic authenticity, Grok is there.
But if you need reliably polite, safe interactions, especially for anything professional or public,
ChatGPT is probably the much safer, more predictable choice. DeepSeek if you want no personality at all.
right, okay, that covers personality. Let's hit the bonus round: speed, user experience, UX, and ecosystem. The practical stuff.
Yeah, how does it actually feel to use these things day to day?
ChatGPT's interface is generally seen as pretty good, right? Clean, fast, easy.
Yeah, usually a smooth experience. Pretty intuitive for most people.
DeepSeek.
Described as having more of an open source feel.
Basic. Minimalist.
Fast and minimal, yeah.
Yeah.
Probably appeals if you like things streamlined, not a lot of bells and whistles.
Okay. And Gemini's big advantage here is the Google connection again.
Definitely. That integration with Android with Google Workspace, if you live in that ecosystem.
It could be really seamless, right? Talking to everything else.
That's the promise. A more connected workflow within those Google tools.
And Grok still feels a bit unfinished.
Yeah, beta was the word used. Might appeal to, Elon Musk fans or tech enthusiasts who like trying early stuff.
But maybe not as polished or reliable day to day yet.
That seems to be the implication. Might have more rough edges.
So, practically speaking, winners here: Gemini for ecosystem lock-in,
If you're deep in Google world, yeah.
and ChatGPT maybe for just general ease of use and reliability across the board.
That seems like a fair summary.
Gotcha.
Good UX, dependable.
Okay, cool. So let's try and wrap this all up. Final thoughts.
When you step back, it really feels like each of these AIs represents a different philosophy almost.
How so?
Well, you've got DeepSeek kind of embodying that open source, no frills approach.
Right. Functional, direct.
Then Gemini with that polished, slightly cautious corporate feel. Very Google.
Yeah, you can sense the big company behind it.
And then Grok, which is all about that deliberate, chaotic, anti-establishment energy. Very Musk.
Definitely a specific choice there.
And ChatGPT, focusing heavily on building user trust, being helpful, being that reliable assistant.
So it's not just about the tech, it's about the intention behind it, too.
I think so. And maybe the key takeaway for you listening isn't which AI is the absolute best, because there isn't one answer.
Right. It's more about which one fits you.
Exactly. Which tool helps you think better, write better, create better? What kind of AI partner complements your own style and needs?
That's a much better question to ask.
And crucially, whichever one you use, remember critical thinking.
Oh, absolutely. Don't just take the output as gospel.
Never. Question it, verify it, use your own judgment. These are tools, powerful tools, but still tools.
Well said. This has been a really fascinating deep dive. Thanks for walking through it all.
My pleasure. Hopefully this gives you, the listener, a clearer map of this complex landscape.
Yeah, hopefully you have a better sense of their strengths, their weaknesses, their personalities even.
And we'd encourage you to think about it. Which one resonates with you and why? What factors matter most for how you might use AI?
Is it the fluency, the accuracy, the creativity, the vibe, the practical stuff?
It's worth considering.
And maybe one final thought to leave you with. As these things get more sophisticated with such different approaches, what does that tell us?
About where this is all heading.
Yeah, about how we'll collaborate with machines, about what intelligence even is, or creativity. It's definitely something to keep thinking about.
It absolutely is. The future is certainly interesting.